Don't settle for bad socks. Get comfort and grip at an affordable price with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Choose from 18 different colors at puregripsocks.com.
When it comes to laceless football boots, you either love them or hate them. There's really no in between. And as with any new football boot technology, now that we're 8 years on from the big laceless football boot boom that was the A16 Plus Pure Control, the general hype has died down and the amount of laceless football boots out there has also shrunk. But as they say, quality over quantity, and I think that's the best way to describe the current offering of laceless football boots in 2024. Here are my picks for the top 5 currently available, all of which you can pick up below their normal retail prices by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes via the links down below. And as always, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to drop a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2024. Now, before we get into the top 5, I want to give a quick PSA on laceless takedown model football boots, the budget-friendly options that aren't exactly cheap in that they typically start at around $100. I'm not suggesting that they're all bad. I have the Adidas Predator 24 League laceless as an example here, but I will say that the laceless concept really doesn't lend itself well to less expensive and generally lower quality materials. In other words, just realize that when you do buy into these laceless takedown models, you are buying something that is not going to perform to the same level, not going to feel as comfortable, and typically not going to fit as well as football boots that are less expensive with a lacing system. Adjustability means a lot when you're talking about the overall comfort and performance characteristics of a pair of tight-fitting football boots, and when you pair up a laceless design with cheaper materials in general, it's typically not a recipe for success. If you're buying them for convenience sake because you coach and you just want something you can slip on and off of your feet, or you just genuinely don't care about performance and don't intend on playing all that hard at all, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with laceless takedown models, but if performance and general comfort is super important to you, I would personally steer clear. It's one of those situations where you can genuinely spend less money and get a better product. At the 5 spot, I have a pair of football boots that technically aren't laceless, but because of high-profile players like Marco Reus wearing these as laceless football boots and Puma themselves putting out laceless variants of the future, not to mention talking about in the past how you could wear them as laceless boots, it will be forever in the eyes of the public an option if you want to just pull the laces out and play. And if that's something that you want to do, this is by far the best option on the market to do that with, especially with this new implementation of this kind of power tape Y-shaped reinforcement across the top of the foot. It restricts that elasticated knit from stretching just a little bit. That will make for better overall lockdown. I don't necessarily think this is the best way to wear a pair of Future 7s, but if you must wear something laceless, I think the Future 7 Ultimate with the laces pulled out isn't necessarily a bad choice, especially if you like the overall shaping and feature set of the Future, but also want laceless football boots. It's not something that I would typically advise, but you can get away with it with these. At the 4 spot is a pair of football boots that you might not have ever seen before, and they're from the brand that actually invented the laceless football boot concept all the way back in 2006. It's the Lotto Solista 107 Gravity. Basically, the modern day take on what they did all those years ago, now featuring a fully knitted upper with a reinforced laceless system across the top of the foot, a mid-cut design, and a classic Lotto sole plate and stud pattern. They're football boots that typically retail for around $200, but because they're not the most popular, you can regularly find them on sale for $150 or less, but have pretty much all the same top quality materials you'd expect to find in a high-end football boot, retailing for $250+. They're definitely not going to be for everybody, and I know not everyone's a fan of the look of football boots outside of the big 3, but if you're looking to dip your toe into the world of laceless football boots, especially if you want something that has that sock-like knitted feel, you can do so with these Lottos at a price significantly lower than other brands. Getting into the top 3, there really isn't a bad choice. However, at the 3 spot, I have the Adidas Adidas X Crazy Fast Elite Laceless, which is currently the only laceless speed boot on the market, which also makes it the best. However, even though it's getting that title by default, it is actually one of the best laceless speed boots Adidas have ever put out. I think they absolutely nailed the shaping. The upper is super thin, giving you that raw barefoot feel, and the elasticated knit across the top of the foot has seemingly the perfect amount of stretch to it to where putting them on isn't too difficult, and they still have that good overall lockdown. Are they going to feel quite as secure and responsive as the regular Elite variation with a lacing system? Definitely not. If that's what you're after, I would strongly recommend going for the version with some laces. However, if you're looking for that kind of no-nonsense feel across the top of the foot, perhaps you just like a little bit of a looser fit to your football boots, that's exactly what these have on offer, which does make them pretty unique in the speed category. They're super light, the sole plate is super responsive, the traction is excellent, and at $260 full retail, they're not too crazy compared to what laceless football boots from Adidas have retailed for in the past. At the 2 spot, we have the New Balance Tequila V4 Plus Pro, where depending on personal preference, I think this could easily get the #1 spot on a lot of people's lists. What I love about this boot in general is the super soft and sock-like knitted upper, but the laceless system itself, while just kind of an elasticated knit like so many laceless boots have, it's pushed to the medial side of the foot, kind of running along that hard bone, which really does a nice job of feeling very secure, but also not having any uncomfortable pressure across the top of the foot. Think of this almost like a laceless Nike Magista Obra, but with a better overall fit. Super impressive in that regard. The collar itself fits tighter than any other mid-cut boot on the market, which won't provide any ankle support, but in terms of giving you that nice connected feel where it flows from your ankle onto your feet, this arguably does that better than anything else on the market. It features one of the most unique sole plates and stud patterns out there right now, with these little bladed studs kind of running the edges of the sole plate with the rounded studs kind of in the middle. And also, the pricing is incredibly fair. At full retail, they're $215, but because they're not the most popular, again, you can regularly find them on sale. Not to mention that from a fit perspective, something that is critical when you lose out on adjustability, these, unlike every other laceless boot in this video, are available in regular as well as wide fit variations. So especially if you are somebody with wider feet, going for a wide fit version of this boot, that's by far going to be your best bet if you're on the market for something without laces. Which brings us to the 1 spot and what I think is a sneaky good pair of football boots, the Adidas Predator 24 Elite Laceless. And obviously there's a ton of hype around this brand new Predator, but that's predominantly focused around the FT fold over tongue version, which of course does have a lacing system. For the laceless model, it's not really getting much in the way of marketing attention. It's not the most popular amongst pros either, but I think if you're a fan of laceless boots in general, despite kind of just looking like a regular Predator Elite with the laces removed and kind of filling in that central portion of the upper with some elasticated prime knit, the refinements and changes that they've made to this once you get them on your feet is very much evident. It's one of the best shapes for a laceless football boot I think Adidas have ever put out. They're very comfortable. The lockdown is remarkably good. The Hybrid Touch 2.0 synthetic material as an upper for a laceless boot has the perfect amount of softness and structure to where the boots feel nice and secure without your feet kind of sliding around on the inside. And of course, the touch is great. The extra grip from the rubber striking elements is fantastic. They're much lighter than I think a lot of people realize, basically putting them in the same weight range as a lot of speed boots. And the sole plate and stud pattern is pretty much as aggressive as what you're going to find on the X line in general. So if you're after a pair of laceless football boots with all of that old school but also new school Predator tech at $260, no longer a premium for the laceless variation, the Predator 24 Elite LL I think is a fantastic choice.